WEcast, supporting women entrepreneurs in Southern Alberta, with your host, Jenny Bourne.
Welcome to WEcast, recorded on Treaty 7 lands, home of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and the Métis Nation Region 3. WEcast is produced by WESTEM, the Women Entrepreneurs in STEM program, here to support all women entrepreneurs in rural regions of Southern Alberta. WESTEM is made possible thanks in part to funding from the Government of Canada's Women Entrepreneurship Strategy through Economic Development Lethbridge. The WEcast podcast is here to amplify the voices and tell the stories of self-identified women entrepreneurs and those who support them across the rural regions of Southern Alberta. My name is Jenny Bourne, and I am the Senior Program Coordinator for the WESTEM program and the host of WEcast. Alyssa Borix, our technical producer, and WESTEM's event coordinator, is also here with us. I am very happy today to welcome Keri Drennan, professional engineer and founder of Impact Leader. Keri is also a business advisor with the WESTEM program, as one example, an entrepreneurial coach, and is passionate about engaging and inspiring people who think outside of the box. She is a professional engineer with 24 years of progressive leadership experience in business, and she will tell you that she owes her success to building relationships and shifting cultures and paradigms. Keri has expertise in integrating cultures through transformative leadership and change management. Being authentic, a great communicator, and tough when required, she has successfully transitioned her teams through a variety of mergers and acquisitions. Keri transitioned from engineering and started Impact Leader in 2018, inspired by her aspiration to live in a world that is inclusive, engaging, and inspiring. Keri believes that everyone deserves to work in a trusting, respectful culture that includes maximizing business goals while having fun. A current focus for Keri is coaching women entrepreneurs in STEM, and her ability to relate and hold people accountable has aided in her success. So welcome, Keri Drennan, to WEcast.
Thanks, Jenny. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my honor.
That's awesome. We're always happy to talk to you. But I don't even think I have heard about your total journey and your transitions from one career to another. So 24 years as a professional engineer. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to become a professional engineer? And, was that always a passion of yours? What drew you to that?
Well, I think it's the age old, I was really good at math. And as much as that sounds silly, I had absolutely no idea what engineering was when I went into engineering at university. I'm actually the first person on my dad's side of the family to even go to post-secondary. So there was no engineers, anything that I kind of knew anything about. I was good at math. So someone said, go into engineering. And I did. And it was, I loved it, right? The challenge, the learning something new every day. It never gets old. There's always something to be picked up on, something that you can better, something that you can think through. So it was amazing as far as that goes. Yeah, I started in the oil and gas industry, and that was just truly, it served me well, right? I did a stint in Houston, Texas for a few years as an expat and came back. And, there were some times in my career where I say it was so incredibly fun. And that's what I say when I want to bring fun back into business. So I think of fun as threefold. The first is you really enjoy the people you're working with. Like it's just people that you get along with, you communicate with well, you are not afraid to, say what's on your mind. You just really enjoy the person. The second is being engaged in the project that you're on. If you love it, if you can stand behind what you're doing. And the third, of course, is success, right? If you can, if you're successful and winning your kind of what you do, you're going to have fun. And so when I left the oil and gas industry, I kind of thought about what was it that my next step is? What do I want to do? And it's like, I love the coaching and developing others. It wasn't the technical that I loved. It was the seeing a bigger picture, the strategy, helping people get to where they need to be. And so I followed my passion and started Impact Leader.
So what kind of engineer are you?
I graduated mechanical because I really, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. So mechanical is a little bit more the jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. I didn't want oil and gas. That was something that I kind of said right off the bat I didn't want. But I did a 4-month term in it, and it was just like, okay, like this, I'll never stop learning. And so it kind of got me.
Right. Did you face any kind of obstacles? I know for many, many people, engineering is kind of a tough world to crack or to get into. And oil and gas is also very dominated by certain demographics.
I was very fortunate, Jenny. I had amazing managers and leaders through my career. I didn't really see a lot of those obstacles. Or maybe it's, the only thing you have control over is your response to your reaction to what happens to you. So I just refused to see them. I don't know. Looking back, there probably were a few more that but I had great leaders that were very inclusive, very supportive, great advocates in my career. Mm. So that helped a lot. I started out in a field office, but the field office had a lot of women in it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of times I'm sitting around a boardroom table and there's 10 men and me and 10 probably men that are 10 years older than me. But unless you take the time to stop and think about it, you don't really recognize it.
That's good. That's lucky. It's having good leaders and managers and mentors makes a world of difference, right? Can really make or break a work situation.
Totally can. It's absolutely, that. People don't leave companies, they leave people. That is so, so true. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why I try to, put my management style into what I saw that I liked, and then also what you don't like and that you're not going to do.
Right. So did it stop being fun? So why, you said you decided you liked the leadership side more than the technical side. So what was that catalyst?
I think it was just a little bit the world. We were doing layoffs every 6 to 9 months. And because I was working with a larger organization, you had to have those lists in 3 or 4 months in advance. Mm-hmm. And if I knew I had to let somebody go, if I said good morning to them, I pretty much just lied. Right. And so it was really hard on me to do. Mm-hmm. It was hard on them. They were the ones getting let go. So I'm not taking anything away from that. But after about 3 years of every 6 or 9 months having to do that, it just got to be too much. So it came time for me to take the package and start something new.
Right. So was it a difficult decision to start your own business? Because you could have gone and gotten a job somewhere else, right? And continued in engineering.
Well, that's the thing. Like in the oil and gas manager, there wasn't any roles for them. Mm-hmm. Anybody senior to me was let go a long time ago, right? And so it was a total shift in the guards, right? And there wasn't jobs out there. I found myself overqualified for most of the things that were out there. Mm-hmm. And so kind of starting up my own business seemed to be the only way to move forward, because I wasn't, I never really thought I'd be an entrepreneur, right? I was too young to just retire. So what do I want to do with my life? And now I help other people try to figure that same thing out. A lot of my clients are like, what do I want to do when I grow up? And it's like, okay, let's help figure that out, right?
Yes. I'm 50 plus and I still ask myself that question all the time. You never stop, right? You never stop.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us, okay, you said you didn't ever really think, I want to be an entrepreneur. And then suddenly you find yourself saying, I think I'm going to open my own business. Was that a hard choice, or did you have people in your life to help guide you towards that choice?
I really touched on my network. I actually I built my network up, right? And this was pre-COVID days. And so I was downtown having coffees all day. And it's like, okay, who can I meet with? Mm-hmm. Can you give me 3 other people you can introduce me to? and just kind of start building. I didn't know quite what direction I wanted to go. I wanted to get, the project management, the strategy piece, the people piece, the change management, that type of thing is where what I want, the organizational development. Yeah. I wanted to get more into those types of pieces. And I ran into one person that introduced me to Lumina, because as a psychometric tool, because I was thinking, okay, that might be a good way to start, just to look at the psychometrics. I've taken plenty in my life, and I really enjoy that type of, assessments. And so somebody introduced me to Lumina, and it was just like, okay, this is the one. I think this is the one I want to go with. And then at that time, all of the qualifications were out in Vancouver or in Toronto. But this lady I was talking to was bringing the coaches, like the organization, into their organization to certify a group of them. Mm-hmm. And she invited me to come so I could do it in Calgary. So now I've taken all the expense of traveling and everything away. And so it was like, okay, it's meant to be, let's do it. And it's one of my tools in my toolbox that I use, but it really helps the conversations and gives everybody a language to speak. Mm-hmm. Because, and it helps me coach. I don't want to just do something that's just, okay, go read this and we're done. Mm-hmm. It's the coaching behind it that I like. It's, thinking about how people change and that kind of thing. And it's been like, I was just looking back with a couple of my clients, and like, there's people I've been coaching for a year now.
Yeah.
Right. And we look back at how far they've come and what they first, how they were a year ago and how they are now. And I'm starting to connect people. Like, okay, you two both have common interests. I think it'd be worthwhile for you to connect. And they're loving that. And I mean, when I go, I'm currently out on the coast, but I'll be in Lethbridge next week. And I'm meeting with 3 or 4 of my clients just for lunch, just because it's going to be fun to get together, right? To actually see each other in person, because everything's done over Zoom.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great.
So lots of the WESTEM clients have gone through this with you, and the feedback has been so great just about the coaching. As you said, you can do assessments, you can do personal assessments, and then just put it in your file folder and walk away, right? But it's the follow-up and the coaching that seems to be really life-changing for a lot of the entrepreneurs.
I think my clients like that I give them a little bit of a kick in the butt, so to speak. If you don't, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, right? And I can pull on I've had a lot of experiences in the business world and growing in the strategy and marketing. And so I can pull on a lot of my personal experiences to help them, give them a different perspective. And like I said, I don't tell them what they want to hear. It's so, and that's not for everybody, but the ones that do enjoy it, it's working well for.
Fantastic. So not everybody knows what Lumina Learning is, right? So you are a certified coach with Lumina Learning. So can you explain what that is exactly, and why you decided to incorporate it into your business coaching, or how it works with what you're doing?
So Lumina it's Lumina Learning. It's Lumina Spark is what we start with. Yeah. And it is a psychometric. And what it does, why I chose that over other psychometrics is, first of all, it allows you to be all things. You don't have to choose between what you like best. Mm-hmm. Like I'm an engineer, but I like doing crafts. Like, why do I have to choose between doing, high-level calculations in a spreadsheet or basket weaving? Like, I like both. Why can't I be both? And it lets you be both, right? It doesn't, where other tools will like measure your extroversion and introversion is just the opposite of it. So it lets you be both. And that's what we really, really embrace on that. You embrace the paradox. The other thing is it measures your qualities, 24 qualities in 3 different personas. So it goes from your underlying to your everyday to your overextended. So how you are when you're just hanging out with people you're really comfortable, your true self, and then how that changes and how you choose to present yourself to the world. And then what happens when you get stressed out? All those fantastic qualities we have can turn negative on us. Mm-hmm. And how do you get through life without leaving dead bodies in your path, right? How do you recognize that you're shutting down before you shut down? right? How do you work that through, and how do you think those things through, and just be more conscious about the way that you're reacting to your environment. So I love that use a starting tool. It lets me, build rapport with my client. I find that I have some, they're like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. Like, I never tell people this. Like, I think I get to see their underlying side, because you do build that kind of authentic rapport right away. Mm-hmm. And then it's a tool. And then I have a whole toolbox of things to pull out. Do personal marketing statements. I do like these sizzle sheets, up kind of just a one pager kind of about the person. I do more of the business planning, do you need work on delegation, high quality advocacy and inquiry? How do you build empathy? Like just kind of a tickle box full of tools that we can bring out. We can get into leader models and show you, different leadership styles. Your qualities or your preferences, leadership is a choice. And that's a big difference. That's usually a big aha for people, is how you choose to lead. Leadership is a choice, right? And there's no one right way. It's to pick which way is going to be best for the person and for the situation you're dealing with.
Do people ever go through it and then say, oh, I'm not a leader? No,
because everybody's a leader, Jenny, mm-hmm. Right? Everybody's a leader. It doesn't matter. If you're mom, you're a leader. If you're, like everybody, you have some piece that you're leading. Leadership is not a title. It's not having direct reports. It's just, it's activity. It's just showing up.
Mm-hmm. So it shows people how to lead best with their personality type, or?
Yeah, well, it gives them, because we can compare, there's different leadership competencies, let's say, mm-hmm. and different qualities you have can be tuned up to build those competencies. So somebody that is not very visionary, they have troubles leading with vision, it's going to say different qualities that they can tune up in order to increase their vision. And then also give little tips. Okay, so you might not be very, conceptual or thinking outside the box, but let your staff know and the people that work around you know that you value that, right? Yeah. Have a context to name something, give them space and time to come up with the newest, brightest toy, right? You might not be able to yourself, but giving people that space to do it is important, right? Making sure that everybody knows how their piece of the puzzle fits into the big picture, right? Making sure. So that's how you would kind of tune up some leading with vision type things.
Very interesting. So when you first started Impact Leader, were your clients primarily from the world of engineering or oil and gas?
That was what my original intent was, to work a lot with people, that were just newly promoted because of their technical skills, but don't really have the people skills to go along with it, right? So I designed a course, Coach, which is just, to be able to give them those skills to go forward with it. And honestly, I started with WESTEM, and it's taken this turn into the entrepreneurs, and I also a business advisor with RINSA, the Regional Innovation Network of Southern Alberta. And it's just such a wonderful network that I'm so enjoying it. I have done the coach with more technical folks as well, of course. But the relationships and the clients that I'm meeting are just so, I'm making such a good, I can see the impact I'm making, right? And yeah. So it's very rewarding. So I'm really loving this aspect of it.
I wonder if the coaching is different, or the questions that you're being asked, are they different in the different industries when you're coaching people from different industries, or different urban versus rural, or male versus female, or that kind of thing? Or do you find that the advice you're giving or your approach is the same for all the different kinds of groups?
I would say it's pretty much the same. There's not a lot different. I would say more clients through, WESTEM have not seen psychometrics. They're totally new to it. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot more like, wow, this is amazing. You coach a little bit more based on their personality type, right? Are they the big red, the outgoing, the got to get stuff done, the purposeful? Are they the, the yellow, that inspirational, the conceptual? Are they the big people person, the greens, right? That empowering and, that empathy and collaborative and accommodating? Or are they the blues, right? That deep evidence-based, like, what are they? What do they need from me? Mm-hmm. Right. So I spend time going through their information ahead of time because then I know what they're going to need. And it doesn't matter male, female, right? It doesn't matter because it's who you are, right? The big thing with women a lot I find is they talk a little bit about imposter syndrome a lot more than men do. Now, I'm not a psychologist, and so I don't really go into that, but I do find that people it's more of the confidence issues. And it's, I usually just be yourself, right? Don't try to be like the men that are around you, right? Mm-hmm. Be yourself. That's your superpower, to bring what you have and your gifts to the organization or to your own company, right?
Yeah.
Don't change for other people.
Yeah. That's a great message. I'm curious, if you had gone through Impact Leader when you were starting your career, your first career in oil and gas, do you think you would have led differently, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I think anytime that you can do that work, the sooner the better, to mm-hmm. just have it more front and center, right? Yeah. Be more conscious of the relationships as you go. I was, early in my career, I was like, I'm the big red, like I'm the let's get stuff done and I don't care who I walk on. And I used to be a lot like that. And I think I could have, done things differently, brought more of that people stuff earlier in my career. Mm-hmm. Once I got into leadership, I was very, I choose to lead through people. That is how but earlier in my career, I probably could have done better by putting a little bit more focus onto the people side of things, mm-hmm. for sure. But it's just having that awareness of it all around you too.
Yeah. Interesting. So were you introduced to Lumina Spark before you started your business, or did it happen simultaneously?
Kind of simultaneously, I guess. I knew I wanted to use a psychometric. Mm-hmm. Hadn't really, but I didn't really know what my business was. I had business cards made up with my @shaw.ca email, and somebody said, you need to be more professional if you're going to be doing this. Nobody's going to respond to an @shaw.ca email. Yeah. Right? And it's like, okay, so I need a business name. So let's go. What was this business going to be? I didn't even really know, but I knew that, to get out there, I needed a name. So I did my Lumina certification and built my website and kind of just did it without knowing what I was doing, right? WESTEM needed me to be incorporated. So I just went online and hit enter and incorporated. Yeah. Right. I ended up incorporating federally when I just needed to do provincially, but that's just, I guess, when you're trying to do it yourself, you make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And it's not a huge mistake. I just have to do both now. But just little things like that along the way, that even if you can, keep other people starting out, if you can give them that kind of advice, right? Just here's where I'm not the expert, but here's where I stubbed my toe. So I guess it's not advice. It's just, okay, here's, watch out for this, right, as you go, right?
Well, and that's why, you're such a great business coach or advisor, because you've been through this quite recently, right? You just started up your business in 2018. So you've had to learn along the way as well.
Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And I wish I had stuff like the, business model canvas. I just dove in. I didn't do that. Yeah. Right? And I wish I did. I think it would have helped give me more direction, starting out, thinking about, what is the value? What is, what are you trying to do? What are your customer gains and pains? And I think it would have helped a lot to start with that. Mm-hmm. So I do try to bring that in with my clients as well, just to make sure that they know who's your customer, like who you're trying to work for.
Yeah.
And some people that can't answer that.
Yeah, I know exactly. So is there one thing, like one major surprise to you, or one major obstacle when you were first, saying, okay, I'm going to start my new business? I know there's lots of learnings, lots of things to figure out, but if somebody else was starting out, they were leaving your industry and going off to do their own thing, was there one big surprise or obstacle that you could warn people of?
It's hard to be a solopreneur because you're used to, like, I'm used to having people around. You're used to, getting, bouncing ideas off people, working together on projects. And all of a sudden it's just you, right? It's hard to, get out. Like I used to be in the office at, 6:15, I'd be downtown. I don't get out of bed till 7 now, right? Like so that's kind of nice. Yeah. But on the flip side, it's like, it's hard. And I'm very good at coaching this to my clients, but doing it yourself is something different, is put your business first. You've got to spend 2-3 hours a day building your business and, put it in your calendar. When, if like I tell clients, like if you show up, if you have a meeting with me, you show up for it. You don't just put it off. Give yourself the same, that same respect, right? And don't feed yourself leftovers. Make sure that time is in your calendar to work on your business and what you need to do. And it's hard. It's easy to say, it's hard to do, right? One of my clients even said, like, she gets up and gets her business clothes on and goes and sits in her office in her basement. Like, but it makes you feel like you're doing something, right? And that's, I think, the hardest thing is to put it first, to grow it, to go out, get clients, that kind of thing is the hardest thing to do.
Right. And keeping that professional mindset, right?
Yeah.
Putting on your work clothes and just to sit in your basement instead of rolling down the stairs in your pajamas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when you say, spending 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours a day building your business, what kind of activities do you mean? Do you mean marketing or cold calling clients? Are there specific things that you focus on to build?
I guess it depends on the phase of your business, right? Are you actually up and running? Are you still in the storming, kind of trying to figure out what you're doing stage? Are you working on your business plan? Are you working on, trying to get your name out there? Is it the marketing? Is it your, do you have your web page done? Yeah. What is it that you're trying to, what stage are you in? Like for me personally, just moving to a new community, I need to get a little bit more engaged in my new community. And so, to find out who would like, to do more team sessions, especially now that, we can start to be doing stuff in person. I'd love to be doing more team sessions. Right. But to put yourself out there and be vulnerable is sometimes not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. So it's unique to each business and where they're at. Right. I get it.
Yeah. So exactly.
So you mentioned that it was, it's hard. It's a big transition going from working in an office surrounded by people to being a solopreneur. So one of my questions for you was, how has your life changed, right? That's a big transition for a 24-year career to being a solo entrepreneur, right? So since starting your own business, has your work-life balance changed, or is there any other big changes that you've noticed?
It's kind of nice to not be perpetually tired, right? I mean, that is a physical, because when you're not getting that much sleep, when you're getting up at 5 o'clock to head out, right? And so it is kind of nice to not be perpetually tired. So there is that. My kids are both gone, so it's not like I have to spend more time being a mom, but it's kind of, for the first time, I think I got to be like, my husband would say like, like I'm actually making dinners and I'm home and I can organize and clean, and because there's just so much more time. There were times like he was probably more the mom when our kids were little than, because he had the time to be, making sure the school activities were all taken care of because I was working so much. And so it's kind of nice not to have all that added stress. Right. My clients, like I don't, when I'm done with the Zoom call and I do my notes up, I'm done. Like I don't stress about what they're doing or what's happening next or what has to happen. Right. And so there is that it is a lot nicer that way. I can, schedule my clients when I want to, right? Nobody's telling me when I have to do stuff. Like I try to not schedule on Fridays, but if somebody needs to book Fridays, it's open. Right. And that's kind of a nice thing too, is then I've got that extra day to, plop somebody in if they have to.
Right.
So that's flexible. Yeah, that flexibility is kind of nice. Moving out to a new area, we've had so much company as well. And so that, that I can, it's okay to just, I'm there to go pick them up from the airport and drop them off. And so that's kind of nice for sure.
Excellent. Well, maybe you've already answered this, but I was wondering if you're ever, nostalgic for your past career as an engineer or in that engineering world with offices full of people.
Yeah, you definitely do miss that. I miss the, just being around people all the time. I was always sort of known for my very unique shoes, and my shoes used to bring me a lot of joy. I love them, and now they make me sad because they're just getting dusty.
Yes.
Yeah,
I put on a pair of boots for a meeting, and I said, I have not worn these for 2 years.
I know.
In 2 years. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I had to dust them all.
It's to be honest, Jenny, it's the ego takes a little bit of a bite, like the decisions I used to make and, the feeling of being important, right? It's that ego that you kind of have to get past, to be honest. And it is hard. That is hard some days to think that, well, gee, I cleaned my cutlery drawer. Woohoo, I mean, I don't give myself enough credit sometimes on some of the impact I'm making on some of my clients because it's the ego, right? It gets in the way of really appreciating that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your humility and willing to share. But I know for a fact from the women I know who work with you that your ego should be very inflated because maybe it's not daily, maybe it's not 12 hours a day that you're rushing and getting things done, but you're an impactful leader, right? The impact you're making is very obvious and it's very pronounced. So
thanks for that, Jenny.
Yeah, no problem. So, okay, I know you work with teams and you work with, organizations, but, very recently you've been working with a lot of entrepreneurs as well. So I was wondering if there are common questions or requests that you get from entrepreneurs who come to you for coaching.
Common questions is a hard one. I guess there's a couple different groups of people. There's some people that come like, I have an idea. I know what I want, but it's way out there and here I am today. And how do I get there? And how do you envision? You can kind of envision it, but there's so many steps from A to B that you have no idea how to get there. And then there's some that are just already in it and working it and just need, okay, help me with funding, help me with, how do I integrate with IRAP NRC and Alberta Innovates, and how do I get more grants? And there's that type of thing as well. So it's that's the really cool thing about working with entrepreneurs. They're all at different stages, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if, someone that I have one client that, ran her own ranch, but wanted to be in marketing. And over the course of a year, actually sold all of her cattle, got out, took marketing courses and started her own marketing business. And where she had absolutely no idea how to do that or how to, she knew what she wanted, but she was 180 degrees away. And it's just so, that you give them the confidence to do it. You give them the accountability because it's like we check in once a month, even for, just 15 minutes, half an hour. And it's like, okay, you said you were going to do this, this, and this. Did you do it? Right?
Yeah.
And it's, okay, well, why didn't you? What do you need? What help do you need? What can I help you with? Right. And it's really good to see that. So there's those types of clients. And then there's some that are, in full manufacturing mode and trying to take their business to the next level. And so it's really hard to say other common questions because they're all everybody is so different. Each client is so different.
Right. So I know you work with entrepreneurs, but what other kind of demographics do you work with your business?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of stuff with kind of the oil and gas. I have a few groups there that I'm working with, some schools, right? Doing team stuff with the the principals and vice principals, all of the senior staff kind of thing, that kind of thing. And that's always fun too. I look forward to when I can get back into going and doing some of the team stuff. Team stuff is hard over Zoom.
Yeah.
right? Doing that type of thing. I've just recently joined a coaching collective called Welcome Coaching.
Oh, nice.
Where right now there's, I think, 6 different coaches. And so they go out and get the clients for you and bring it in. So I've just joined that. So I think I'll get, totally different. It's a little bit of a younger group. And so just to get a little bit more exposure there and just see how that goes out. And I think that's good because you get the monthly meetings to kind of see people and, okay, what about this? And how did this work? And that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So very diverse groups of people you're working with.
Yeah, everybody can use, it's for everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a coach. Like even coaches need coaches, right? Yeah. Just to even, this situation didn't work very well. Could I have handled this better? If you want to communicate better with people, if you want to do better, it's for you. Like, it's not, there's no one group that benefits from it.
Yeah. So how, I know when you started your business, you relied very heavily on networking, right? You were very actively networking. So now obviously you're working with different diverse clients and groups of people. So have you changed how you reach these people, your marketing plan or anything like that? Are you approaching marketing differently?
Yeah, there's a lot in my head that's going on. I need to actually do more of it, to be completely honest.
Yes.
I've been quite busy with WESTEM, as you probably know, and with RINSA, and I'm very comfortable at that level. However, with the funding questionability of WESTEM go forward, I know that I've got to get a little bit. It's going to give me the push I need to get out and do that little bit more marketing, because I'm not the marketing expert, but there's a lot of ideas, and I've learned a lot through the WESTEM programs, going through, meeting with some fabulous people. So that's helped it too. And so I think a lot of it is I need to start taking my own advice, which is sometimes hard to do.
Because I guess I should shout out right now that in June we have a 3-part marketing series coming up. Feel free to join us for that.
Yes, I should for sure.
That's good. So marketing is always such a big question for everybody, right? I have this great idea. I have this great service. I have this great product. Now, how do I get customers? How do I connect with them, right? So yeah.
Or, even, you have a few clients that actually manufacture like food products. It's like, okay, I know I can get it on the shelves, but how do I get it off the shelves?
Yeah. That's it, exactly. So, okay, I know you've touched on this, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, if you have anything to add. So what do you enjoy most for yourself being an entrepreneur? And what do you find most challenging being an entrepreneur?
I think I like the flexibility, right? Of being able to book my clients when I need to. It's easy, take a week off. I can work from anywhere because it is like Zoom. It's been it's a curse, but it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
I touched on it a few times, but I recently moved out from Southern Alberta to the interior BC, or to the West Coast. And, it's not, I didn't skip a beat because everything's on Zoom. And so that's been great. Right. And the flexibility of being an entrepreneur is fantastic. You don't have to answer to anybody else. You can make the decisions yourself, be as busy, be as slow as you want. It's all good. That's great. The bad thing is you're by yourself, right? It's the good and the bad of that, right? You don't necessarily have a lot of people to bounce ideas off. Like it's like I probably have 3 or 4 monthly calls with other groups and stuff, but so 3 or 4 times a month though isn't, it's not a lot, right? That you can interact and talk about, your challenges or problems you're having, or some successes and that kind of thing. And so that is great. But that is the challenge for sure.
Are you actively seeking out these groups to try to overcome that challenge, to create the?
Well, a couple are like, the Lumina focused groups. So that kind of just comes with it, right? We have, like the sessions once a month for an hour and a half kind of thing. And then the coaching ones, like even with RINSA, with the Regional Innovation Network, we have one every 2 weeks where we talk about all of the different clients and just, okay, who's if you're having any questions, okay, this client needs a little bit more help with this than I'm capable of giving them. What, can I pass them to somebody else, or can you give me some advice on what to tell them? And it's nice talking through. I really enjoy talking through that about the different clients, because it's you learn as well then to help with the next one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are great.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of collaboration.
Yeah, the world's too complicated these days to know everything yourself. Like, we need to work together and share ideas and share our knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I have one more question. It's a doozy. not really, but you just started in 2018, and talking to you today, it seems like you've already kind of morphed and grown and changed, who you're dealing with, and how your approach to things depending on who you're working with. So what is your future plan? Do you have any new goals that you're setting for yourself or for Impact Leader?
I think I'd like to get more into more smaller businesses, as well as just doing the one-on-ones. Like, I'm really enjoying one-on-ones, but it's really, it's to get in and do that more, how to get people to be better leaders, right? That, being able to better communicate and build rapport with people is fantastic. That's the first step. But if I can help leaders be better, that was my original intent coming, building it, and to get back into that a little bit more, I think would mean a lot to me, right? Because that was my original kind of vision for the company.
Right.
And that's where I have a lot of expertise as well. And so I'd really like to get back into that. So working with larger companies that actually can make a difference in that kind of regime.
Yeah, that's great. But are there any, it's not a but are there specific leaders you would more like to work with? Not people, but kinds of organizations or kinds of industries that you would like to work more with?
I think any industry that has, that cares enough to put their people on that kind of training, that's open to it and sees the value in it, is going to be who I want to work with. If I have to convince somebody to do it, they probably don't want to work with them, because they're not going to be as open to continue, right? I want to build relationships, not just with individuals, but relationships with companies.
Right.
In order to, you don't have to do everything all in one workshop. Let's get together for, a full day and do this. Isn't as much like, that's great, I can do that, but I would rather be in a relationship with a company where it's like, I'm going to come in once a quarter and do a couple hour workshop, or work individually with people, or just to kind of, because there's so much more that you can share.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this today, for telling us more exactly about Impact Leader and your journey. It's always very interesting and very difficult to transition from, especially a, multi-decade career into jumping into something completely new, like business ownership. So thank you very much for sharing.
No, thanks, Jenny. It's been fun. I mean, and thank you for all that you've done, and you've been a big part of my journey as well, right? In bringing WESTEM right with it. So I really appreciated that and had a lot of fun with it. It's kind of sad to see that it might be ending. As I'm meeting with some of my clients, and it's like, I'm letting them know that this is, it's kind of sad. Like,
it's still light. It's still light. There are still some funding opportunities, so we won't put that final nail into the coffin.
I'm hoping not. And I've told, some of them, I'm like, if you need anything, just still email me. I don't care, right? Like, because we kind of, I feel like I have a relationship with some of them, right? So it is that's kind of the nice thing, right? Like, I even had a client that was doing a food show in Vancouver a few weeks ago, and my husband and I went and met him and his wife downtown and had supper, right? Oh, nice. It's like, you actually kind of, you got to be, so much about them, right? It's really good.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is one reason that we can say that WESTEM has been successful, right? Is because there have been personal relationships where it's much more much more helpful to ask. It's a better environment to ask for the supports that you need and to receive them. And your advising and your programming has been integral to that success. So thank you. And
thank you, Jenny. No, I appreciate the opportunity. And thank you too, Alyssa.
We want to hear from you. Is there a question that you'd like us to answer on our next podcast? Send it in to WESTEM@chooselethbridge.ca. WEcast is a production of the Women Entrepreneurs in STEM program. WESTEM is made possible thanks in part to funding from the Government of Canada's Women Entrepreneurship Strategy. For more information, visit our website at westem.ca or contact westem@chooselethbridge.ca. Thanks for listening.